The moment you stop chasing, you start attracting. Most people don't realize this, but the more you hold on, the faster things slip away. Ever tried holding on to sand too tightly? The harder you grip, the more it escapes between your fingers. Relationships, friendships, and even opportunities work the same way. The moment you loosen your grip, something strange happens. Welcome back, my friends. If you're tired of running after people who don't appreciate you, feeling like you're always the one making an effort, or wondering why some folks only value you when you walk away, you're in the right place. Before we dive in, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me until the end, because this will change how you see yourself and the world around you. Now picture this. Imagine you're at a party, standing near a campfire. It's warm, comforting, and it keeps you close. But the moment you get too close, what happens? It burns you. You back off, and suddenly the fire pulls you back in with its warmth. That's the paradox of attraction. When you stop leaning in, that's when they start leaning toward you. See, folks, most people operate in fear. They believe that if they stop chasing, if they stop proving their worth, they'll be forgotten. But let's break that illusion today. Detachment is not about giving up. It's about reclaiming your power. It's about understanding that true strength comes from knowing your value, not proving it. Think about magnets. Ever played with them as a kid? If you push one toward another too aggressively, it repels. But if you hold it at just the right distance, it naturally pulls in. The same law applies to human dynamics. The harder you push, the more they resist. The moment you relax, that's when they start wondering about you, thinking about you, and feeling your absence. Detachment is an art. It's the quiet confidence that says, I don't need to chase. I don't need to beg. I know my worth. And here's the crazy part. People can feel it. They sense it in your energy, in your silence, in your absence. At first, they won't react. They'll act like they don't notice. But deep inside, something shifts. The same way you don't notice oxygen until it's taken away. People don't recognize your presence until it's gone. That's when the thoughts creep in. Why aren't they calling me? Have I lost them? Were they really that unbothered? This is where most folks panic. The second they see no reaction, they break. They text first, they check in, and they give in to the fear of loss. And guess what? That's when they lose all their power. But those who understand detachment do something different. They don't flinch, they don't chase, they don't break their silence. And that's when the tables turn. This isn't just about relationships. This applies to everything: friendships, careers, even self-respect. You don't chase opportunities. You become someone opportunities chase. You don't beg for love. You become someone love gravitates toward. You are the prize, my friends, not the beggar, not the follower, the prize. Stay with me, because today we're going to break down exactly what happens when you detach, why it makes people crave your presence, and how you can use this to never second-guess yourself again. Drop this in the comments right now. I am the prize. And if this message is hitting home, smash that like button and subscribe. Stay with me. This is about to get real. Number 1. The power of detachment. The strongest person in the room is not the one who speaks the loudest, but the one who can walk away in silence. Let's talk about something most people get completely wrong. This idea that you have to chase, convince, or prove your worth to others to be valued. That if you just try harder, give more, and make yourself undeniable, they'll finally see your worth. But here's the truth, my friends. The more you chase, the less you're valued. The more you try to convince someone to stay, the more they take you for granted. The moment you put someone on a pedestal, they start looking down on you. That's the hard truth no one wants to hear, but today we break the lies. Imagine walking into a store and seeing 2 watches. One is locked behind glass, shining under perfect lighting, its price tag hidden because its value is unquestioned. The other is lying in a clearance bin, surrounded by dozens of identical ones marked down 70%, with a flashing sign that says, "Take me, buy me, please." Which one do people desire more? The one that's hard to get, the one that doesn't beg for attention, the one that sits in its place with quiet confidence, waiting for the right person to recognize its worth. Now ask yourself, are you the clearance watch or the one behind the glass? Because most people live their lives trying to prove their worth to those who don't even deserve it. They chase, they beg, they wait for someone else to validate them, and in doing so, they give away all their power. But here's the secret that changes everything. Detachment is power. Detachment isn't about being cold or heartless. It's about knowing your worth so deeply that you don't need to prove it to anyone. It's about sending a silent message that says, "I don't need to convince you. You either see my value or you don't, and either way, I'm good." And here's where things get interesting. The moment you detach, they feel it. At first, they might act like nothing has changed. They might pretend they don't notice your absence. They might even convince themselves that they're fine without you. But deep down, a shift is happening because they were used to you always being there. They were used to knowing you'd reach out. They were used to feeling wanted by you. Now they feel uncertainty. And let me tell you, folks, uncertainty is powerful. When someone no longer knows if they have your attention, their mind starts racing. Why aren't they chasing me? Did I misjudge them? Have they moved on? That uncertainty forces them to do something they never had to before. Reevaluate how much they actually value you. Because let's be real, people don't appreciate what's always available. They appreciate what they fear losing. But here's where most people fail. The second they feel that little bit of fear, they panic. They see the other person not reacting and they break. They reach out, they check in, they send that "Hey, just wanted to see how you're doing" text, and in that moment, they destroy everything. Why? Because now the other person knows it was all an act. The detachment wasn't real. The moment there was silence, you ran right back, proving that you were never in control. But those who truly understand detachment, they don't flinch. They don't chase. They don't beg. They stay silent. They stay firm. They stay in their power. And that's when something incredible happens. The other person starts feeling the void you left behind. The attention they took for granted is gone. The validation they relied on has disappeared. The safety net they assumed would always be there has vanished. And that's when they start chasing you. Not because you manipulated them, not because you played a game, but because they finally realized what they had when they no longer had it. My friends, this applies to everything in life. Relationships, friendships, careers, even self-respect. You don't chase opportunities. You become someone opportunities chase. You don't beg for love. You become someone love naturally gravitates toward. You don't try to prove your worth. You simply live in it, and the right people recognize it. And if they don't, then they were never meant for you in the first place. Detachment is freedom. It's self-respect. It's the quiet confidence that makes people rethink how much they really need you in their life. So here's what I want you to write in the comments right now. I choose my power. Because when you finally stop chasing, when you finally stop proving, when you finally stop begging, that's when everything starts falling into place. And trust me, what happens next, you won't believe it. Stay with me, press that like button, subscribe, and let's step into real power together. Number 2, her initial reaction, indifference or relief. People don't notice the sun until it stops shining. Let's talk about something that messes with most people's heads, the silence after detachment. You expect a reaction, a moment of realization, a sudden shift in their behavior, but instead, nothing. No text, no call, no sign that they even care. If anything, they seem fine, maybe even happier. And that, my friends, is where most people break. They see the other person acting unbothered and immediately think, oh no, I've lost them. They've moved on. I need to do something before it's too late. So what do? They panic. They send a message. They like a post. They check their stories to be seen. They do whatever it takes to remind that person, hey, I'm still here. Please notice me. And just like that, all their power is gone. Because here's the truth. The first reaction to detachment is almost always indifference. Not because they don't care, but because they don't feel the loss yet. Think about it. If you quit sugar today, do you immediately feel its absence? Number the first few days, you might even feel good, telling yourself this is easy, that you never needed it anyway. But give it time, the cravings will come, the void will be felt, the realization will hit. People are the same way. When you step back, they convince themselves it's no big deal. They might even feel relieved at first. They tell themselves things like, good, I needed space. I knew they'd eventually stop trying. I have the upper hand. But here's the part no one talks about. This phase is temporary. Silence is like a slow poison. It doesn't hit immediately, but the longer it lingers, the deeper it sinks in. At first, they enjoy the space. They feel in control. But then, something strange happens. They wake up one morning and realize you're gone. Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and energetically. They go to check their phone, expecting to see your name. Nothing. They post something hoping for your reaction. Nothing. They scroll through their messages, realizing there's a gap where you used to be. Nothing. That's when the thoughts creep in. Wait, have they really moved on? Were they serious? Did I misjudge them? And that's when the tables start to turn. But most people never make it this far. They break too soon. They let the initial silence scare them into reacting. And the moment they do, they confirm what the other person always believed, that their detachment was never real. But those who truly detach, they stay silent. They don't chase, they don't explain, they don't seek validation. And trust me, folks, that's when the real shift begins. Drop this in the comments. I hold my silence. Because when you learn to embrace the quiet, you'll be amazed at what happens next. Stay with me, like this video, subscribe, and let's keep building real strength. Number 3, the fear of losing your attention sets in. People don't fear losing what they love, they fear losing what loves them. At first they think it's no big deal. They assume you just needed a little space. Maybe you're playing hard to get, maybe you're just in a mood. But time passes, days go by, and then it hits them. You're not just stepping back, you're actually gone. See, most people expect others to always be available. They assume that no matter what they do, no matter how much they neglect or take you for granted, you'll always be there. That's how human nature works. We don't panic when something is present. We panic when we start sensing its absence. Imagine a fish swimming in a lake. It never thinks about the water. It never worries about it disappearing. It just assumes it will always be there. But take the fish out of the water, and suddenly all it can think about is how much it needs it. That's exactly what happens when you detach. At first, they don't notice, but then the silence starts getting louder. They're used to you always being there, always checking in, always showing that you care. But now, nothing. And that nothing is terrifying. This is when the fear sets in, the fear of losing your attention. They start replaying old conversations, looking for signs, wondering if they missed something. Their mind starts overanalyzing. Did I push them too far? Were they always this strong? Did I make a mistake? This isn't about ego anymore. This isn't about playing games. This is a real shift in their emotions, because when someone is always available, we assume they always will be. But the moment they disappear, that assumption shatters. And trust me, they feel it. They check their phone more often, hoping to see your name. They scroll through old messages, trying to relive moments they didn't fully appreciate at the time. They hover over your social media, seeing if you've moved on. And here's the best part. Even if they don't reach out yet, they're thinking about you more than ever. This is the paradox of detachment. The less you give, the more they crave. The moment you stop chasing, you become something rare, and what's rare becomes valuable. But here's where most people mess up. The second they see the other person struggling with their absence, they break. They send that text, they check in, they undo everything. But those who truly understand power, they stay still. They let the silence do the work, because that's when real attraction builds. My friends, if you take one thing from this, take this. Your presence is a gift, your attention is power, and when you take it away, people finally see its value. Write it in the comments. My attention is valuable. Because when you learn to control where you give your energy, everything changes. And what happens next, you won't believe it. Stay with me, like this video, subscribe, and let's keep going. Number 4, the emotional roller coaster begins. The mind is its own worst enemy. It creates storms that don't exist. The moment you step back, the emotional storm begins, not for you, but for them. At first it's nothing, a small ripple, a slight thought in the back of their mind. Oh, they must be busy, they'll text me soon. But as time passes, the ripple turns into waves, and suddenly the silence starts to feel loud. This is where it begins, the emotional roller coaster. First, it's annoyance. They tell themselves, why haven't they reached out? This must be some game. They're probably just trying to get a reaction out of me. Then comes curiosity. The thoughts creep in like shadows. Wait, what if they're actually busy? What if they're out having fun without me? Have they met someone new? Then the worst stage, insecurity. The ego starts to crack. The questions become heavier. Did they ever really care? Was I not as important to them as I thought? Did I misjudge everything? And that's the moment everything shifts, because the truth is, people don't realize what they had until it's gone. They don't notice the warmth of the sun until it sets. They don't appreciate oxygen until they can't breathe. They don't recognize value until it's no longer available, and now your absence is being felt. They scroll through their phone, hovering over your name. They check if you've watched their stories. They think about sending a message, but pride holds them back. So what do? They test the waters. Maybe they post something dramatic, hoping you'll notice. Maybe they like an old picture of yours. Maybe they drop a comment that's just subtle enough to see if you'll react. This is where most people make a critical mistake. They see that breadcrumb and they break. They take the bait. They engage. They give back the validation that was being questioned. And just like that, the emotional roller coaster comes to a screeching halt, because now the other person knows they still have control. But those who understand true detachment, they don't flinch, they don't react. They let the other person sit in their emotions, and that's when the shift deepens. The thoughts get louder. The regret starts to creep in, because suddenly they're no longer the one in control of the story. They're not the one being chased anymore. They are the one chasing clarity. This is the moment they start to question their own actions, and this is why detachment is so powerful, because the one who controls their emotions controls the dynamic. So here's what I want you to write in the comments right now. I am in control, and trust me, what happens next, you won't believe it. Stay with me, hit that like button, subscribe, and let's keep going. Number 5, the moment she breaks. Patience is power, waiting is power, not reacting is power. Most people react too quickly. and that's why they always lose. There's a moment, an inevitable moment, when they start feeling the absence. It doesn't hit immediately. At first, they're fine. They tell themselves, "Good, I needed this space. I knew they'd eventually stop trying." But then something shifts. They go about their day, scrolling mindlessly. But suddenly they wonder, why haven't I heard from them? They expected you to check in, to leave a comment, to react to their story, to send a random message that keeps them in control. But nothing. Silence. And that silence starts to get loud. Imagine standing in front of a vending machine. You press the button for your favorite snack, just like you always do. Every time it drops without fail. But today, nothing happens. You press again, still nothing. You shake the machine, wondering why it's not working. Now suddenly, you care about that snack more than ever. That's what happens when you detach. They were used to you being there. They were used to knowing that at any moment, they could press the right button and get a response. But now they're realizing something's different, and that realization makes them act. At first, it's small, a breadcrumb, a low-effort attempt to see if you're still there. Maybe it's a random, "Hey, how have you been?" text. Maybe it's a sudden like on one of your old pictures. Maybe they casually ask a mutual friend if you're doing okay. And this is where most people fail, because the second they see that tiny bit of effort, they jump. They reply instantly. They act like they've been waiting by the phone the whole time. And just like that, all the mystery is gone, the power shifts back, and the vending machine works again. Game over. But those who understand their worth, they don't bite. They let them sit in their emotions. They don't rush to fix things. They don't let them walk back into their life so easily. And that's when the real shift happens. Because now they realize something they never expected. You were never just an option. You were the prize. The thing they thought they could always come back to is gone. The person they assumed would always be there has moved on. And that realization, it stings, because nothing hits harder than losing someone who truly valued you. Now here's what I want you to write in the comments. I am the prize. Let it be a reminder to yourself. Let it be a declaration to the world. And if you're ready to step fully into this mindset, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me, because what's coming next, you don't want to miss. Number 6, the shift in her mindset. People don't notice the sun when it shines every day. They only realize its warmth when it finally disappears. Something strange happens when you stop showing up for people who took you for granted. At first, they don't even notice. They assume you'll always be there, like a background character in their life story. But then something shifts. At first, they rationalize it. Oh, they're just busy. They'll be back. They convince themselves it's temporary. Maybe you just needed space. Maybe you're upset, but eventually you'll break the silence. After all, you always have. But then the days pass, the texts don't come, the notifications stay silent, and for the first time, they feel it. It's like a favorite song that suddenly stops playing mid-track, a TV show that gets cancelled before the final episode. That constant presence they took for granted, gone, and now it doesn't feel so comfortable anymore. It feels unsettling. This is the moment detachment shifts the power dynamic. People get used to being chased. They get comfortable knowing that no matter what, you'll always be there, waiting, hoping, reaching out. They expect you to send that text, check in, like a post, make an excuse to reopen the conversation. But when none of that happens, panic sets in. They start questioning everything. Did I misjudge them? Were they really that unbothered? Did I actually lose them? And this is where most people fail. They sense the other person's absence, they crack, and they send a message just to check in. They throw breadcrumbs, hoping for a reaction. They peek back into the other person's world, only to find themselves trapped in the same cycle again. But those who understand true detachment, they don't break. They let silence do the talking. They let the other person sit with the consequences of their choices, and that's when the real shift happens. The same person who once felt secure now starts doubting, did I push them too far? Did I take them for granted? Have they moved on? And that doubt, that's when the tables turn. Suddenly, you are no longer the one seeking their validation. You become the one they now have to earn back. This shift is powerful because it changes everything. When someone realizes they might have actually lost you, they start to value you in a way they never did before. But by the time they wake up, the question isn't about whether you'll take them back. It's about whether you even want them back anymore. So here's what I want you to write in the comments. I don't chase, I attract. Because once you learn this, you never go back. And what happens next? It's going to blow your mind. Stay with me, press that like button, subscribe, and let's keep going. Number 7, the unexpected jealousy factor. People don't value what's always available. They value what they might lose. Something strange happens when you finally stop chasing, when you finally stop checking in, when you finally stop making them the center of your world. Suddenly, they start looking over their shoulder, wondering where you went. They start checking their phone more often. They scroll through your social media, looking for clues. They ask around, hey, have you heard from them? And why? Because for the first time, they're not sure about you anymore. See, folks, certainty is comforting. It's predictable. It's safe. When someone believes you'll always be there, always trying, always available, they take you for granted. They don't feel urgency. They don't feel the need to act. They assume they have all the time in the world. But the moment that certainty disappears, the mind spirals. Now they start assuming the worst. Maybe they've moved on. Maybe they found someone else. Maybe they don't even think about me anymore. And that's where jealousy sneaks in, not because they're bad people, not because they suddenly love you more, but because the thought of being replaced burns. Think about it. You ever walk into a store, see something you kind of like, but leave it on the shelf? Then later, when you go back and it's gone, suddenly you need it. It's not because the item changed, it's because you lost the option of having it. That's what happens here. They start realizing they don't control your attention anymore. They don't know what you're doing, who you're with, or if you even care. And that lack of control drives people crazy. They'll start dropping hints, liking an old post, watching your stories, posting something dramatic just to see if you react. They'll act like they're fine, but inside, they're checking their phone more than ever. And here's the key, my friends. This isn't about playing games. This isn't about trying to make them jealous on purpose. This is about breaking the cycle. The cycle where they assumed you'd always be there. The cycle where they knew they could ignore you today because you'd still be waiting tomorrow. But not anymore. Now you're unpredictable, and unpredictability is powerful. Because when people can't figure you out, they start thinking about you more. They start craving that certainty again, and that's when they start chasing. This is the natural law of value. What is rare, uncertain, or at risk of being lost becomes more desirable. So here's what I want you to write in the comments right now. I am not an option. Because once you stop being predictable, once you stop being available, once you stop giving away your energy for free, that's when they start realizing your worth. And what happens next? Oh, it gets even better. Stay with me, press that like button, subscribe, and let's keep going. Number 8, the internal battle she faces. Regret is a silent storm. It starts as a whisper, then it grows, and before you know it, it consumes everything. Let's talk about the moment when realization hits. The moment when someone who once took you for granted starts questioning everything. when their mind becomes a battlefield between ego and regret. See, folks, when you detach, people don't feel the loss immediately. At first, their ego convinces them they're fine. They tell themselves they'll be back. They always come back. They feel confident, almost smug, thinking they still have power over you. But then something strange happens. Days pass, then weeks, and silence. Now the battle begins. Imagine standing on a dock, watching a boat sail away. At first you wave it off, confident that it'll turn around. But then the further it drifts, the smaller it becomes, until suddenly you realize it's almost out of sight. And that's when panic sets in. This is exactly what happens in their mind. They start waiting for a message, expecting you to break the silence. They open their phone, checking for your name. They scroll through old conversations, reliving the moments when you were always there. And that's when the whisper of regret starts creeping in. Did I push them too far? Were they really that serious about moving on? Did I misjudge everything? This is internal chaos at its finest. Their ego is still trying to hold them back, telling them, wait, don't reach out first, stay in control. But regret? Regret doesn't care about ego. Regret keeps reminding them of what they lost. They replay the best moments in their head, the times you made them laugh, the way you made them feel, the validation they used to get from you, and now it's gone, completely gone. And here's the key, my friends. The longer they wait, the stronger your position becomes, because now they are the ones seeking validation. Think about it like this. Ever misplaced something important, thinking it wasn't a big deal? Maybe a ring, a watch, a favorite hoodie. At first you shrug it off, but the longer it stays lost, the more valuable it feels. By the time you start tearing your house apart looking for it, you'd do anything to get it back. That's the effect your absence has when you detach. But here's where most people make a fatal mistake. The moment they sense the other person hesitating, they reach out first. They break the silence. They give in to the fear that maybe, just maybe, they're actually moving on. And just like that, the battle in their mind ends, not in regret, but in relief. Ah, there they are, I still have control. But for those who stay strong, who don't break the silence, who let that boat keep drifting, that's when the shift happens. Regret overtakes ego. Doubt overtakes confidence. The chase reverses. And when they finally do reach out, when they finally send that hesitant, "Hey, how have you been?" message, you'll know you didn't lose them, they lost you. So here's what I want you to drop in the comments. I am worth missing, because you are. And when you finally understand that, everything changes. Like this video, subscribe, and stay with me, because what happens next? You're not ready for it. Number 9, the moment she breaks. A person who truly values you will never put you in a position to question their intentions. Here's where the real test begins. You've detached, you've stayed strong, and now they feel it. That silence you held, it's starting to get to them. At first, they ignored it. They convinced themselves they were fine. They told themselves, oh, they'll reach out soon, they always do. But then days pass, weeks go by, nothing. No message, no reaction, no sign that you even care. And that's when the panic starts creeping in. But here's the thing. Most people won't just swallow their pride and come back directly. No, no, no. They'll test the waters first. They'll poke at your energy, trying to see if you're still there, still waiting, still affected. So suddenly, you notice it. They liked an old post of yours, a random months-old picture they scrolled all the way back for. They start watching your stories, but they don't say anything. Maybe they even post something they know will get your attention, a cryptic quote, a selfie with just the right angle, something that makes you wonder, is this about me? It's bait. And most people, they take it. They see that tiny breadcrumb and jump on it like they've been starving. They send a message, they engage, they show that deep down they were just waiting for any little sign to break their own silence. And that's when they lose all their power. Because the second you respond, you confirm their suspicions. You prove that your detachment wasn't real. That all they had to do was throw out a tiny signal and you'd come running back. But you're smarter than that. You don't react. You don't bite. You don't break your own silence over a half-hearted attempt. Because here's the truth. If they truly wanted to come back, they wouldn't be sending mixed signals. They wouldn't be dropping breadcrumbs. They'd be walking straight through the door. Think about it. If someone was drowning, would they casually wave from the water, or would they be screaming for help? If they really wanted you back, they wouldn't be liking an old picture. They'd be calling you, apologizing, making it clear that they want to fix things. So what do? You stay detached, because if they're serious, they'll stop testing and start acting. And if they don't, then you already have your answer. Write this in the comments right now. I don't chase breadcrumbs. Because you are worth more than mixed signals, my friends. And trust me, what happens after this? It's even more powerful. Stay with me, hit that like button, subscribe. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Number 10, the key to keeping your power. If you give them easy access to your life, don't be surprised when they treat it like a revolving door. Let's talk about something that makes or breaks everything the moment they come back, because they always do. Whether it's days, weeks, or months later, the pull of your absence starts working, and suddenly they want back in. Now here's where most people fail. The second they see a text, a like, a "Hey, how have you been?" message, they jump back in like nothing happened. And just like that, all the power they gained is gone. Think of it like this. Imagine you locked a treasure chest and hid the key for weeks. Someone searches, desperate to open it, knowing there's something valuable inside. But the moment they find the key, if the chest swings open without resistance, they lose all excitement. Why? Because the chase is over, the mystery is gone, the value diminished. But what if, instead of flinging open the doors, you stood firm? What if you let them knock a little longer? What if they had to prove they actually deserved to observe what was inside? This is the key to keeping your power. When they reach out, you have two choices. You can act as if nothing happened, responding eagerly, falling back into old patterns, proving you were just waiting for their return, or you can hold your frame. Holding your frame doesn't mean playing games. It means understanding that detachment wasn't a trick. It wasn't a tactic. It was real. You weren't waiting. You were moving forward. And if they want back in, they have to work for it. See, when you rush to reply, when you act like they never left, you send a message. You can always come and go as you please. But when you pause, when you make them put in effort, when you don't immediately hand over your time and attention, you send a different message. I'm not easy access anymore. And guess which one makes people value you more? Because deep down, people don't respect what they can always have. They respect what they have to earn. Now here's where it gets fun. The moment they realize you're not jumping at the first sign of attention, their curiosity skyrockets. Did I lose them? Are they really over me? Were they actually serious? And suddenly they start trying harder, investing more, proving their worth instead of expecting yours. And here's the magic, that confidence is magnetic. When you no longer feel the need to prove yourself, when you let go of the fear of loss, when you trust that your value speaks for itself, everything changes. So here's what I want you to write in the comments right now. I don't chase, I attract. Because when you stop running toward them, that's when they start running toward you. Stay with me, like this video, subscribe, And let's keep leveling up. Number 11. When she realizes you've changed. People don't resist change, they resist being left behind. And that's exactly what's happening now. The moment they realize you've changed, they expected you to be the same, to wait around, to keep checking in, to still be emotionally tied to them like an old song stuck on repeat. But now something feels different. You're not watching their stories. You're not reacting to their little breadcrumbs. You're not orbiting around their world like a lost planet, hoping for gravity to pull you back in. You're free, and that drives them crazy. Because deep down, they wanted you to hold on just a little longer, to still care, to still give them the comfort of knowing they could pull you back any time. But now, they're starting to doubt themselves. Did I misjudge them? Were they ever really that into me? Have they already replaced me? And let me tell you, that realization hits hard. Because for the first time, instead of feeling in control, they're the ones left with unanswered questions. This is the moment when regret sets in, not because they suddenly had an epiphany about how amazing you are, but because they lost something they assumed would always be there. This is power. This is freedom. This is what happens when you choose yourself. Drop it in the comments right now. I choose myself. Let the world see it. Let yourself feel it. And stay with me, because what happens next? It only gets better. Number 12. The regret phase. People don't appreciate the sun until they're left in the dark. Regret is a slow-burning fire. It doesn't hit all at once. It creeps in piece by piece, like a puzzle forming in reverse. One day everything felt certain. The next, something feels missing. At first, they don't notice it. They keep moving forward, convinced that life goes on just fine without you. But then one random evening, a song plays, a familiar scent drifts in the air, a memory flashes, and suddenly the world doesn't feel so certain anymore. This is where the mind starts to wander. Did I take them for granted? Did I make a mistake? Were they more important to me than I realized? Because here's the thing, my friends. We don't miss people when they're around. We miss them when their presence becomes a silence we weren't prepared for. They start replaying the moments they brushed off, the small things they once ignored, the way you laughed, the way you showed up for them, the way you made them feel. Now carry a weight they never expected. They reach for their phone, they type out a message, then they delete it. They hesitate because now they don't know where they stand with you. And that uncertainty? It's what makes them want you even more. Because when someone is unsure if you're still there, they start craving the certainty they once had. Regret is a mirror. It forces people to face the choices they made, and sometimes they don't like what they see. Drop this in the comments. I am not their regret. Stay with me. What happens next will shock you. Number 13, when she tries to reconnect. The first move doesn't matter, the second one does. When someone tries to come back, they don't walk through the front door. They knock lightly, waiting to see if you'll rush to open it. They don't say, I miss you. They throw out a casual, hey, like a fisherman casting a line just to see if you'll bite. And here's where most people fail. They take that first little breadcrumb and pounce on it. They reply instantly. They act like they've been waiting the whole time. And in that one moment, all the mystery is gone. Imagine a cat chasing a laser pointer. The second it lands somewhere predictable, the cat loses interest. But keep it just out of reach, and the chase continues. People work the same way. So what do you do instead? You take your time. You don't ignore them, but you don't drop everything either. Keep your energy calm, your replies short. Let them wonder. Let them reach again. Because if they truly want back in, they won't just tap on the door. They'll knock. They'll push. They'll make it clear. Drop this in the comments. I am not an option. Like and subscribe, because what happens next is a game changer. Number 14, when she tries to make you jealous. A lion doesn't lose sleep over the opinion of sheep. Let's talk about one of the oldest tricks in the book, the jealousy game. When someone feels like they're losing their grip on you, they don't always reach out directly. No, that would be too vulnerable. Instead, they stage a performance. Suddenly, they're out every night, laughing a little too hard in their pictures, posting cryptic captions like, "Living my best life," or showing off with someone new. But here's the truth, my friends. When someone truly moves on, they don't need to prove it. Think about it. Have you ever seen a billionaire walking around flashing his bank statements? No, because true wealth doesn't need validation. True confidence doesn't seek approval, and true detachment doesn't need to play games. The biggest mistake people make is taking the bait. They start watching, questioning, spiraling. But the second you react, you give away all your power. So what do? Nothing. Stay unshaken, stay unbothered. Let them put on a show. But remember, performers only perform for an audience. Drop this in the comments. I am unshakable. Because once you master this, the game stops playing you. Number 15, when she finally breaks and fully reaches out. When silence is real, the truth comes running. There comes a moment when the weight of absence becomes too much to bear. At first, they play it cool. They drop breadcrumbs, liking an old post, sending a casual, "How have you been?" or trying to spark jealousy. But none of it works. Why? Because for the first time, they've lost control. Imagine a gambler at a slot machine. They've played for hours, certain that if they just pull the lever one more time, the jackpot will hit. But now, the machine isn't responding. No flashing lights, no comforting sounds, just silence. And in that silence, panic sets in. This is the moment they can't take it anymore. The silence is deafening, the void is real, and now they have to put in real effort. So they send the message they swore they never would. "I miss you. I've been thinking about us. Can we talk?" But here's where most people fail. They rush in, relieved, eager, desperate. But not you. You hold your ground. Write it in the comments. I don't chase, I attract. Stay with me, because what happens next changes everything. Number 16, the key to keeping your power for good. Respect is earned in your absence, not in your presence. Imagine walking into a restaurant, sitting down, and ordering your favorite meal. Now, what if the waiter brought it out, saw you hesitate, and immediately snatched it back? You'd suddenly want it more, wouldn't you? Not because the meal changed, but because now you don't have easy access to it. This is how power works, my friends. It's not about force. It's about value. If they reach out, you don't just hand yourself over on a silver platter. You don't erase the past. You don't act like nothing happened. You set a new standard, one that says access to me is earned, not given. A person who values you will show it through actions, not just words. They won't send a lazy "hey." They'll put in effort. They'll prove they deserve to be back in your life. This is what separates those who own their worth from those who give it away. So tell the world, write it in the comments right now, I am not easily replaced. Because when you finally realize your value, so does everyone else. Stay with me, like this video, subscribe, and watch what happens next. Number 17, when she realizes you've changed forever. Growth is painful, change is painful. But nothing is as painful as staying stuck where you don't belong. There comes a moment when they finally see it. You're not the same anymore. You're not waiting. You're not chasing. You're not trapped in that cycle of overthinking, hoping and longing for someone who took you for granted. You've changed. It's like a book they thought they could pick up whenever they pleased, only to realize the story has moved on without them. They expected you to still care the same way, to still react, to still be emotionally tied to them. But now you're different. You've stepped into your power, you've gained self-respect, you've learned the art of letting go, and that realization shakes them to their core, because now they don't have the control they once did. Now they don't get to assume you'll always be there. If they want you back, they have to bring something real to the table, and if they don't, it no longer matters because you've already moved forward. Drop this in the comments right now. I have moved on. Let them see it. Let the world know it. And stay with me, because the best is yet to come. Number 18, the ultimate lesson. Detachment is power. A man who stands still in his worth moves faster than the one who runs after others. Let's be clear. Detachment isn't about games. It's not about making someone suffer, seeking revenge, or proving a point. It's about you. It's about breaking free from the illusion that your value is determined by how much you give, chase, or prove yourself to others. Most people lose their power because they cling too tightly. They treat relationships, friendships, and opportunities like a lifeline, terrified that if they let go, they'll lose everything. But true strength isn't in holding on. It's in knowing when to walk away. Imagine a tree standing firm in the middle of a storm. The wind howls, the rain beats down, but the tree doesn't beg the storm to be gentle. It roots itself deeper. That's what detachment is, rooting yourself in your own value. And here's the truth. People don't chase those who chase them. They chase those who know their worth, who move with quiet confidence, who don't seek validation. Write it in the comments right now. I stand firm in my worth. Because the second you do, the right people will come to you and the wrong ones will fade away. The moment you realize your worth, the world starts treating you differently. My friends, detachment isn't about loss, it's about gain. The gain of self-respect, peace, and power. When you stop proving yourself to those who don't deserve you, you create space for the right people to come into your life. So stand firm, walk with confidence, and never beg for what should be freely given. Drop "I choose my power" in the comments, smash that like button, subscribe for more, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Stay strong, stay focused. Your best is yet to come.